Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to talk about the weird month that was January 2026 in the Guelph real estate market. Uh, I've got a lot to tell you because a whole bunch of weirdness happened. But first, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can find links below to the audio version. We have the Guelph Real Estate Report podcast you can find on Apple and Spotify. That is updated every 2 weeks as well. And you can find the written version of this video on our website. And both of those will be linked below. If you like the video version, great. But there's also other options for you. It's generally the same information. It's just different formats for you to get the information from. It's no spin. It's just the regular data as I see it, and we update it regularly. And as you can expect, it's only early February, and we're already giving you January. So this is how close we watch it. And we have insights into the Guelph real estate market that you will not, I guarantee you will not, because I'm a data geek and I have a lot of this information sliced and diced in ways you wouldn't see it. So if you like this sort of thing and you find it valuable, give us a subscribe or a bookmark or a follow or all those fancy things. Okay, let's get into the weird world of January 2026. And I think the best way to talk about January is to go a little bit further back into December and talk about how we got here. And in December, we anticipate that there are going to be cancellations. People don't want to show their house after mid-December because they have guests, family, all kinds of things going on with their kids. They want to be able to decorate their house. They don't want to have to keep it clean all the time. And so we naturally see a fall off in listings in December. And at the end of December, the 31st usually, is when many listing agreements expire. It's just a natural time for them to be written to expire. And you usually expect that they'll come back in January. But let's start at December 1st. So on December 1st, we had 437 listings in Guelph. And through all the cancellations and the sales, it was a weak December as well. As we got to the end of December, after all the cancellations and all that stuff came through, we went from 437 to 347. So a decline of 90 net listings across all formats in Guelph for the month of December. So you'd expect that at the end of December and going into January, most of those 90 would come back in one way or another. Either the people who expired in December would just wait until January and come back, maybe a little bit later into the spring. But there also would be a bunch of new listings of people that didn't want to list in December that now want to come on the market for the first time in January. So you'd anticipate that much of that 90 wouldn't be eaten up. But we went from 347 at the end of the year to today, early February, 382. That would be a net increase of 20 something, less than a third of what came off the market. And so really the story in January is that where were the listings? What happened to the people that took out their house off the market in December? They didn't come back. And what happened to the buyers? The buyers clearly weren't interested in the listings before Christmas because sales were really low. And they clearly weren't interested in the listings after we came back to the market because we had a very slow month, which we'll talk about in just a second. But really the story I see for January is whatever came off in December certainly did not come back on the market in January. And it's evident in the sales that we had in January as well. January of 2026, we saw an average of 2.4 houses sell per day, which for context is below every other January for the past 6 years. The prior 3 years to this year, they were in the threes, so 3 point something. The prior 3 years to that, we were at 4 point something on average per day. And here we are in 2026 at an average of 2.4. And in fact, there are only 2 months that I've tracked that are slower than January 2026. And that was December of 2022, had the same sales velocity, and December 2023, which was a terribly slow month at 2.1. So with the exception of December 2023, this was the slowest month in terms of transactions that we have seen recorded. So overall, as I mentioned, on the market today, we have 381 houses on the market, of which 182 are detached and 199 are condos. I expected we'd have more, but who knows? Maybe in February, we're going to get bombarded with new listings. I don't know. I expected it to happen in January. It didn't happen. So I'm not sure. If you're someone out there that listed your house in December or took it off the market in December and you haven't come back to the market yet, why don't you send me a message and let me know why you haven't come back? I'm just curious as to what the strategy is. Maybe you just don't want to sell anymore. Maybe you don't like the pricing the market is offering you. Maybe you're going to wait until the spring. I'm not sure, but I'm curious to know where those people went. If we take a look at what sold in January, we had 28 condos that sold, or townhouses or anything with a fee. And we had 45 detached sell in the month of January. So a total of 73 over 31 days. Within the condos, 312,000 was the low. That was on 281 Bristol Street. And the high was 950 in the Clearfields neighborhood. And what we watch for in this segment is sell-through. And what we watch for is the average price. And I can tell you both of those things. So average price increased to 569,000, which is an improvement over what we've been seeing in prior months. So last summer, we bumped up against 600,000 a couple times as an average price. And then from there, we kind of went straight down. And after September, it really went down. And we were in the low fives in September. But it's bounced back. The last 2 months have kind of gone up. We're now at 569, and we're sort of at that midpoint of where we are. It's not expected. I actually didn't think that was going to happen. We do get a bit of a seasonal bump, especially on Gordon Street south of Stone Road, probably all the way down to Clare, where parents start buying condos in there for their kids at university. That trend has sort of softened a little bit as enrollments are down and investors are selling. But we do get a seasonal blip there for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in February. In this segment, we are averaging less than one sale per day. January was 0.9 per day, and we have 199 on the market now. So that would mean we have 199 or slightly over that, slightly over 200 days of inventory. So if you are selling a condo, you need to be competitive with your price if you want to sell. Based on what we see of 42% of the listings in the condo segment that are vacant and on the market, there are many situations where sellers don't want to accept the current market pricing and would rather leave it vacant and pay all the monthly fees than sell it at current market value is the only conclusion I can come to. But 42% of the units in this segment are vacant that are for sale. Seems crazy to me, but it's good for listing agents, buying agents, because you can quickly get appointments in some of these. And sometimes that's helpful to get an offer because the house is more accessible. But there are a lot of vacancies out there. If we take a look at the detached segment, 45 houses, as I mentioned, we are looking at 590,000 as the low. That was in General Hospital, and it happened early in the month. And 1365, that was in the Courtright West neighborhood in sort of the midtown area of Guelph. Overall average here was 858,000, and it's very similar to the condo segment. We saw a bump up from the past few months. This segment was hovering between 800,000 and 900,000. Last summer it got to 900, and late last year it fell below 800 for I think a couple of updates I had. It was below 800. We roared back this month, and it's now at 858 with the average selling price at 98.1 of the original asking. So still room to negotiate there, but there is some flexibility, it looks like. 7 of the 5 sold over the asking, 2 sold at the asking, and the remaining 36 or 80% sold under the asking price. So in this segment, we're starting to see a little bit more interest. And we're not talking multiple offers on every house, but what we are seeing is that because some buyers may be getting frustrated or antsy because they can't seem to find any new listings that meet their criteria that they're interested in, when something does come up that's close to what they want, they jump in. And so we saw seven sell. That is 16% sell over the asking price in January. And that is our conclusion, is that good stuff that is not on the market in December and is at a reasonable market value is moving. 30% of the sales that happened in January were from listings in January. So buyers were snapping up the new stuff and kind of brushing off the stuff that's been around and a little bit dusty because it just doesn't have any appeal to them. It's an interesting market in that way. We also watched the $1 million plus segment in the total market. And it's interesting that we follow this historically. Between 15 and 20% of sales every month in Guelph were over $1 million or at $1 million plus. And we've seen a little bit of weakness in this. In the fall of last year, we saw some weakness in October, in November and in December, where the numbers were 7 and 13% respectively. So we were going to watch January to see, was this going to be a third month in a row falling below the range of 15 to 20%? And in fact, it was not. January rolled in at 16%. So we're back in the range again. So it's an interesting month for sure. Sales were low in terms of the number of sales, but the average price was up in both condos and detached. We saw a significant number of houses sell over the asking price, which would make me believe that, as I mentioned, buyers who saw the existing inventory didn't like it. And then when nothing new came on the market and early in the month, buyers started jumping on good things that they perceived to be good things, unique listings, I guess, that appeared in the neighborhoods they wanted throughout January. And lastly, $1 million plus fell in the range again of 15 to 20%. So some similar signs here to the markets we've seen about a year ago came back in January in terms of pricing, but not inventory. One of the shining stars we continue to watch is the detached bungalow, and these do get some attention. These would be ones you'd find that are probably post-war. St. George's Park has some, Exhibition Park has some. You'll find them just on the outside radius of downtown. And these seem to be getting the most attention, probably because there is the largest buyer pool available for them. So first-time buyers, downsizers, families, investors, they all are interested. And of course, when you have a large buyer pool, you tend to move these things quicker and they hold their value. So that is of particular of interest of us, and we're going to watch that. But that is all for January. If you have any questions, of course, you can always find us on our website, and you can book an appointment with us right online, or feel free to just give us a call or email. All of that will be linked below, and we'll talk to you soon.